What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Royale YouTube channel. I'm your host, as always, Kevin Coleman, and we're back, and we're going to be talking about a little Devy Mock Draft. So we're going to get into, this is prime Devy season. March, Combine's happening. We're seeing a lot of drafts kind of go. And so I got together some guys, and some guys that I think don't necessarily draft like to ADP. And a lot of guys will go to ADP based on just picking the same guys, looking at mocks that other sites do. And these guys get together and then they did a draft that I don't think they followed ADP, which is great. That's the great thing about Devy. Like, you're never going to find a particular draft that sticks to its gun. So I got some guys that are going to be drafting this thing that are going to show you different ways kind of to have a mock draft, where the different values are. So we're going to be going through some little bit of game film from some of the incoming freshmen coming in, some player spotlights of guys that I think are values and where you can kind of manipulate and see where kind of you can get value in these leagues and everything there. So just hang with me. I'm going to hit the intro music. You hit that like and subscribe button while it's going. And we're going to be diving into all kinds of fun content here with the mock draft and not just a mock. Here are the guys. Like, let's get into some specifics and let's get into it. All right, let's dive into it. So 2020 mock, what are we looking at and what we got? We got our guy Marvin here. And so let's just go through the first round. And again, you're going to see some interesting stuff that happens here. So overall, you got Caleb Williams. He's predominant 101. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. I will say in our Discord for our Patreon today, we started talking about Caleb a little bit and like, what are the expected outcomes? And I think that there's some question marks in terms of like, hey, I think there's some misnomers. And so like, I mean, I'm going to plug the Patreon when I can. It's $3 a month for all the content that we have in the manifesto. But we did kind of get into Caleb and we're kind of dropping some stuff. And I know some guys are going to do some film studies on him. But I think right now 101 is perfectly fine. Then you got Marvin Harrison at the 102. Overall, what he's been able to do, I think he's your predominant there. And then there's question marks, in my opinion. I think 103 goes all kinds of different ways. Now, we see some quarterbacks go off the board here. We got Drake May at the 103, Arch Manning aggressive at the 104. And we're going to talk about that Arch. We're going to kind of spotlight him and show some film on him. So if you haven't seen film yet on him, I definitely want to show you that and kind of dive into it. Raheem Sanders, 105 running back. Again, what are we going to do with Arkansas running back? You know, what does that look like? Travion Henderson, is he a value at the 106? He might be, like when you're looking at just overall numbers and statistics, right? So like Raheem and Travion and those guys are there. Like, I think that's value in terms of where you're looking at with Travion right now. But that's kind of how the top six go. Now, in the second half of that first round, you're looking at Braylon Allen. He went a little higher than what we've seen projected. I think that he's going to have a very good CFF year in terms of production. But again, we're drafting based on Devy, right? And so you're looking at NFL upside. Nicholas Singleton at the 108. Again, pretty good value there for Singleton. But some would argue that he's not even the best running back on the roster, right? Then you got Quinshaw Judkins. He's moving up the boards. He started kind of like early second. Now he's starting to get into that middle of the first. Ole Miss running back. Mecca Egbuka is pretty much stayed the same ADP. Ohio State wide receiver, 6'1", 205. Will Shipley, again, you're looking at Will. Some people will question why he was going there. But I think just from a Devy and a PPR perspective, I get it. And then Evan Stewart at the 112. And I'll be, up front, I drafted Evan Stewart at the 112. But I think that he's getting undervalued right now. We just dropped a Patreon episode on who would you rather draft, Evan Stewart or Luther Burden? So if you're a part of that, go listen to it. But I do think Evan Stewart is getting valued. Like, I think his value is around, like, he's getting valued at 204, 205, 206. I think at the back end of the first, I love based on ADP what Evan's going at, and I love the way they built two wide receivers. If you're at the back end of the first and you have two picks right there, I think Evan's a smash in that spot because I think his value is going to get to this next year or a little bit higher, and then you're excited about it, right? Now, I do want to spotlight a player, so we like to do this stuff, and we're going to spotlight Arch. Now, we haven't done a ton of talking about Arch on the channel for good reason. I think, I've dived into him a little bit. I think he needs to work on some things, but if you're looking at his high school stats, like nothing really pops off to you. And to be fair and to be honest about Arch and kind of what he is, I think that he gets the Manning bump. So I think the Manning bump is a real thing. I don't think he's QB1. 247 Sports is going to put him at QB1 and have that. I don't see him as QB1. Now, I don't think he's a bad prospect, but I wouldn't put him in the top. I think this is a very good quarterback prospecting class. We've talked about Jaden Rashada on this channel, Malachi Nelson, Jackson Arnold, Nico. Like, we've dived into those guys. We've talked about a lot of those guys. Dante Moore. Like, you go find the videos. I think he's behind those guys. And maybe not Rashada, but I think the other ones that when you're in there, I think he has it. I think he's going to get there, but you don't see the production, right? right? Like you're looking at the production there. Nothing really stands out to you. I think the best thing that stands out to you is the touchdown to interception ratio, kind of where he's at. Completion percentage went down a little bit this year. And overall, like, just what is he, right? Now, we're going to dive into the tape. So we're going to watch a little bit of his tape just to show you guys what he does well. I think that, when you're looking at him, he has good pocket awareness. I think he's got a little bit of nobility. You saw in that last one, he's got some nobility and a kind of functional athleticism, get out of the pocket. I think he sees his receivers well, but again, you see underthrows here, right? I think he does have arm talent though. I think he can layer the ball pretty well. So I think if you're going to talk about like, what does he do well? What's the one thing that stands to you is he layers the ball well. Now you see it here. Good athleticism, gets it out. Not the greatest throw in the world, but does get it out, right? You'll see it. I wouldn't say that he plays against great competition, in terms of where he's at. And when he goes in the playoffs and plays against good competition, he kind of got his butt kicked. I know he plays Division III state semi kind of finals, especially in New Orleans there. So not terrible competition, but not the greatest. But this is the throw that like excites you, right? So like this is, and you can see it at different levels. You'll see him here, gets outside his pocket. And this is arm strength, accuracy, boom. Like that is like, okay, QB1. I get it, right? So like I think you see the upside. So when you look at 247 Sports and why they ranked him the way they did, I think it's just that. Like I think that he has upside, he has touch. You see him here layering it. Like he really reminds you a lot. Like you're not going to say Peyton and these guys and Eli, but he reminds you a lot of just a quarterback that knows where he needs to go. He understands the game, gets the ball where he needs to go, good pocket awareness, and he's solid. Like, but is he 104? You're really like, if you draft him in the top 5 of your Devy drafts, you're hoping that he gets that ever, right? Like that's the ceiling. Look at Caleb. Look at these guys. Caleb wasn't going in the top 5 even last year. Caleb Williams, after he had such a good year at Oklahoma, that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of like, okay, what's his value? Where's that going to be? So again, gets across his body, good arm strength, gets it there. Like, so those are the things that you like about Manning. I would say aggressive at the 105 mark or higher. Like those are not areas that I would go with Manning. So just to know kind of where his value's at, that's kind of just too aggressive for me. I think he's getting overvalued right now. And I would kind of be aware of that. Now, second round. So we're going to jump in here. Luther Burden wins at 201, and I took him there. And I love that Evan Stewart, Luther Burden stack right there, right? Take Stewart, take Burden, boom, you're excited. Then you got Brock Bowers at the 202. 203 is Branson Robinson, Georgia running back. We dived into him. Go check out my 2025 running backs video. Malachi Nelson, the 204. Malik Neighbors, 205. Could be a breakout guy. Xavier Worthy has dropped a lot. So his ADP's gone down. You're looking at basically a full round ADP drop so far. Xavier Worthy. Devin Neal, 207. We're going to highlight him. I'm going to talk about him. McMillan from Arizona, 208. 209 is Mario Williams. Antonio Williams at the 210. Drew Aller, value. I would rather take Drew Aller at the 211 than Arch Manning at the 104. All day, every day, in a heartbeat, right? Cedric Baxter, running back from Texas. You like to see him there. Now, when we're going to go through the spotlight here with Devin, like overall, like I like what Devin brings to the table in terms of as a runner. He's got the size. He doesn't get the usage at Kansas that you'd like to see, but overall, he's shown that he can catch passes. He saw that improvement last year, 21 catches there. I think he's a really, really solid runner. Now, the usage is never going to be there. If Jalen Daniels to the quarterback, I think that he's going to cut into the volume a little bit, but 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, like outside looking in at that running back class next year, he's there, right? He's 4, 5, 6 in that range. Like when you're thinking about who's there, Donovan Edwards after the top 3, like if depending on what you think of Shipley, I think Neal can slip in there. If that's the kind of guy you can wait in the second round, like if you're going to get like a wide receiver or go that route, like you could probably consistently, maybe like on this draft, not so much, but in some, I don't see Neal getting valued as high. This is probably the highest I've seen him. If you can maybe smash like Marvin Harrison Jr. and then take a shot on Neal in the late second, I don't hate that strategy in Devy in terms of what he is and depending on where he gets dropped to. But Devin Neal is a guy to watch. Devin Neal is somebody out there that you can like, hey, can I ground and grab him? Maybe he's available. And where does that go? Now, going to the third round. This is where we start seeing a lot of the freshmen kind of get taken. Zachariah Branch to the 301. Keon Coleman, 302. Look at Quinn Ewers. Okay, so Quinn's going at 303. He's almost going 2 full rounds after Arch. In this draft, again, like I said, I like this draft because we had different kind of values of people. And that's what you're going to get in Devy. It's not going to be the same people, not the same analysts. And let's keep it 100. Like, analysts, a lot of the Devy analysts just copy each other because that's easiest. Like, hey, what were your rankings? What are the rankings? They look at them. They don't differentiate it, right? And that's what happens. And I'll be the first to tell you, like, that happens a lot. And so when you get into drafts like this, I like the different values. Donovan Edwards at 304. 305 is Troy Franklin. Dorian Singer, 306. Too high. Singer's getting drafted way too high. We talked about this, me and Josh. Chevalier, I think, God, I hope I didn't screw that up. CFF guys on Twitter. We talked about it. Singer is getting drafted way, way too high right now. Then you have Brandon Ennis, Ohio State. He's a dog. I've highlighted him before. Barian Brown, probably the best value in this class right here in this round. Blake Corum to me is a do not draft. I just don't see it. I don't think the draft capital is going to be there after the injury, and I'm a Michigan fan. But to me, I'm not drafting Blake Corum, and I think that his ADP is there. But do not draft him, especially when you can get so much upside around here. Barian Brown, Trevante Citizen from Miami, Cade Klubnik from Clemson, Damian Martinez from Oregon State. So, like, to me, Blake in this is a no draft. Do not draft. Go there. Now, as far as the spotlight go, I do want to highlight Trevante Citizen because we've had some questions about him on the Discord. And you're going to see the numbers there. He had to basically redshirt last year because he had an injury, knocked him out for the year. He is not going to be playing in the spring. So they're holding him out for the spring practices. So he's not going to get run there. But when you look at the depth chart in Miami, he has a shot to start. And so I think that with his talent and his value and where he's at, I think like I don't mind taking him later. And we had some questions in the Discord about like, hey, where do you draft him like in a C2C draft? Would you either draft him or maybe like one of these wide receivers and an upside play? And I still think Citizen is an upside play. And I do want to kind of pop on the tape because a lot of people probably don't remember what Citizen can do. I think when you're looking at him, he's performed very low at the high school level. Now, the production wasn't always there, and that's something that you're going to say like, hey, he did have some injuries, right? So when we think of him as a running back, we have seen him have those injuries. He played out there, but again, he's got the size, he's got the frame. This is one of my favorite runs. I kind of dropped this also in the Discord. Like, hey, he's got that talent. Good build. I think he's college ready to go. And I think that he's a good one cut kid. Like when you watch him play, he's going to hit that one cut and get it up the field. And he's aggressive and he's big. And he's the type of guy, he's a Miami runner. And I think he fits really well in that offense with what they want to do. I think sometimes his contact balance isn't the greatest, but he does show the athleticism to make the first guy miss. Like he has that ability and he's just going to burst through and score touchdowns. And so when you're looking for a guy, you can have that. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Charbonnet, Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, and then the former Michigan running back. Like he has that. I don't know if he has like a huge top end speed. He's able to kind of break it. Like you'll see it here. And he can do that. I don't know how consistently he can do that. This dude just runs hard. Like when you're watching him play, like this is one of the hardest runners that I've seen on tape in terms of what he was able to do in high school. The question is, can he get on the field? So he's got to get on the field there. But I wanted to spotlight him because I think people forget about Trevante because when guys don't do well, we've seen this story before. And unfortunately, we see it a lot of times with Miami running backs. But I think Citizen's the type of talent that you might be able to do because that depth chart is still wide open. So, when we're looking at the depth chart and breaking it down, I think Citizen has a chance. I think he has a chance to kind of break through. You see here the little pass catching, and this is what's going to make him special, his ability to break tackle, score touchdowns. Like that's where Citizen kind of does his money. Now, when you're looking at the fourth round, you have Jarquez Hunter, Auburn. I'm going to be on the train for Jarquez Hunter. I think Hunter's going to be one of those values right now. 5'10", 202 at Auburn. Could really step up. I'm all aboard. Jaden Blue goes next. And again, I'm kind of out on Jaden Blue. We talked about that. Ja'Cory Brooks at Alabama. Pretty good value considering he was going a second round last year. Jonte Cook, Texas. Dante Moore, another freshman. Nico. So you're going to see a lot of freshmen go there. Jatavian Sanders, you're going to take him. It is what it is with the tight ends. Do you want to waste a pick like that? I would have probably taken the upside of Matthew Golden, who's one of my top 5 running backs that 25 class, wide receivers from the 25 class. Michael Trigg is around there. Probably wouldn't waste a pick on Trigg at this point. Jurion Dickey is someone that I know that a lot of people like, and we're kind of spotlight him. Aronde Gatson, I love that he was in this. This is someone new from this. And then Jade Knott from Cal. And we've talked about him, but we're a little worried about him right now based on who is out there and who's on that roster. Player spotlight here. I'm going to go Dickey. We're going to talk about him, in Oregon. He's going to Oregon. Obviously, he's a very sought after recruit, right? One of the best recruits in the country. Was injured this last year. So the reason why you see the stats there, he just was injured. But you saw his junior year, he was legitimate. So when you're looking at it, 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, dude just scored touchdowns. And that's why he's ranked the number 2 recruit in the country at the wide receiver position. He has a 37-inch vertical. And that's going to be popped off on tape here as we watch it. He kind of reminds me of Brandon Ennis a little bit, but I actually comped him to Dez Bryant. I think he has a Dez Bryant profile. I know they comped him to A.J. Brown in 247 Sports, but I think A.J. Brown Dez Bryant is kind of like a better comp for me, and I'm not very good comps, but I think he does a good job of just going up there and get it. He has a 37-inch vertical, so he really can go up there and do it. And he's aggressive. Like this dude just plays. Like I think he has a verified 40 or 4.58 at that size where he's already at. I think that's really good. You'll see him here go up and get it. Has good hands. He does a lot of things really well. Like, and he plays a little. Hey, you gotta love it. Playing a little D. I just put these things on here to just show like he's very versatile, right? He was a 3-phase player. We talked about that. He did a returner. He played a safety, and then a receiver. Like, so intangibles, all conference guy, does a good job of stretching the field, able to kind of, and you'll see it here. They just kind of throw it up to him, let him go make plays. And I think that's where he's going to fit really well with Bo Nix at Oregon. I think he can go make a statement. He's a good complement to Troy Franklin because he's a different build, right? Like, he's going to give him that guy, and he's just aggressive, not going to get bumped off his route, able to kind of go out and make catches. He does that really well. Catches in traffic. Like, these are the things that you like. I really like Dickey. I don't understand why some of the CFF and kind of college guys don't like him, because I think the tape really shows that he's going to be aggressive. He does all the little things. He's going to get on the field early. I think his intangibles are going to get him on the field early, which leads to production being early, right? Like, those are the things that you like to see. And I love that. I got to throw a little bit. All my IDP guys, I'm giving you a little love right now, showing you some defensive highlights there. But I think Dickey's going to be that guy. So we're going to watch one more here, and then we'll kind of break away. But again, value, right? Goes up and go get it. That's that 37-inch vertical. Dickey's one of my favorite guys in there. If you get him in the 4th round, I think that's a value. Now, last round, we did actually 5 rounds in this thing. And when you're looking at it, Adam Randall from Clemson, Carnell Tate, Katron Allen, I think Katron Allen at the 503 would be a fun grab there. Kendall Milton, Ruben Owens, Jalen McMillian, Jackson Arnold. Again, if you're going to draft a freshman quarterback, wait to the 5th round and draft Jackson Arnold. Mekhi Lemon, again, Bucky Irving, Devin Brown, Dylan Sanders, and then my guy, Trey Benson. I think Trey's getting slept on right now out there. I want to highlight him as we go through here. Trey is, he looked very, very good at Florida State. Many thought maybe he was going to come out, but hey, 990 yards, 9 touchdowns. Trayshawn Ward is gone. Like, these guys are going to be there. He's going to get the usage. Florida State has a chance to be ACC champions next year. I think that they're going to compete there. You look how they kind of ended the year last year. They were one of the best teams in college football. And you just saw Benson get better. Like, when he's Syracuse, 163 yards, Miami, 128 yards, Georgia Tech, 111, Florida, 111. Like, he looked really good. Didn't do great in that game against Oklahoma. Only got 13 attempts. Couldn't really get things going, but did catch a ball. So Trey Benson, I think, is a value right now that you guys should be thinking about in terms of like, hey, late round, why don't I grab a guy like Trey and just see where it gets me? So that was our 5-round mock. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Before we get out of here, I got to plug the manifesto if you're here. We release the manifesto every year. It's $3. And you get all this content. So you get a depth chart, you get notable losses, team tendencies, recruiting ranks. On top of that, you get tail of the tape. You get a player spotlight. You get a schedule for every single Power 5 guy, plus our rankings, plus all the content that we put out, podcasts, all of that. $3. Find it in the description below. Go join, see what you like, get a Discord invite, and come hang out with us and come have fun with the community. We try to keep it light, we try to keep it fun, and we just talk college football and fantasy, anything. And we appreciate you guys. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. I will check you guys next time.